Ron Newman, a championship's brewing. Sweet 16. The San Diego Sockers are back-to-back MASL Ron Newman Cup champions.
You think I'm jumping out the window? I got
Tavoy Morgan says, I ain't done. He's got his 5th goal of the game in the 3rd quarter.
For Childs, his header, goal!
Childs bent to the far post,
goal! It's Williams back to Pereira's, his shot, saved by Porto! The save of the year! And he's got Gutierrez, and Christian Gutierrez will shoot and score! Jonas with a step to the middle, to the left foot, still open, shoots, he scores! Charlie fakes around a man, shoots, he scores! Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you live on Twitch. Craig Elston, Jerry Jimenez, back with you. It is Season 5, Episode 24. It's a savage way to lose. The season's over. Not the MASL season. It's got 3 more days left. The soccer season is done. They got done in overtime and golden goal in the knockout game. Knocked out. Popped in the snout by a guy named Popper. Soccer's out in the semifinals. Semifinal mountain. That last perch. The fingers could not hold on. And we fell again. Mr. Jimenez, I can see it already in the chat. I think everyone is still, in some ways, processing. This is one of those rare sports that can just take your breath away, just like that.
Yep. And you know what? We're here for all of you guys. We totally understand, and we are right there with you. Definitely not a fun one today, but hey, there's a lot of positives in this entire season, and I think that's what we can look back on. And we'll obviously touch on this game, something that was, it was coming. It was either going to be good or bad. This episode is here for you guys. Today is going to be all about just talking it out, working it out together, and hopefully at the end of this, we'll all feel better and we can move on and prepare for another season. But a bummer way to go, obviously. And I'm ready to just start talking it out with you, man. It's good to be back. Good to be here on Tuesday with everybody. We see you in the comments. We see you, and we love you.
Yeah, I normally save the title for our Padres podcast, but it's kind of a group therapy podcast tonight, and we hope to offer up the virtual couch for all of you watching live on Twitch, twitch.tv/San Diego Sockers. Go ahead and give us that follow if you haven't done it all year. I mean, why not do it now as at least a going-away present for not the channel. The channel will still be here, but for the show, which now has an expiration date for the season that's a week earlier than we planned. On tonight's show, just like that, it's over. We'll recap the stunning end to the season Friday night at Pechanga Arena. We've got video from Phil Salvagio right after the season ended. You can hear the raw thoughts of the head coach. We will hear from Guerrero Pino, the stalwart defender of the San Diego Sockers. He'll help us pick up the pieces and think to the future in our featured interview at the bottom of the hour. And it's Baltimore against Chihuahua for all the marbles. Both number 1 seeds go down in the semis. We've got an announcement about the finals coming up on MASL News. We'll wrap things up by announcing our second round of season ticket member renewal winners in Soccer's News. All coming up right here on Soccer's Overtime, live on Twitch. available on replay on our YouTube channel at San Diego Soccer, is available as a podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Spreaker, wherever you get your podcasts. We thank you all for your attendance. We doubly thank everybody who shows up and enjoys the show live. And, Jerry, we're gonna get into the clips. We got about 18 minutes or so. I think it's more like 16 and a half when I watched it through, of highlights from Friday night. We'll play that Phil Salvagio interview. We'll hear from Guerrero Pino. I just want to say right off the top, we Sockers fans are spoiled. We're the team that comes through in these situations more often than not. And while in the late 2010s, we started to feel a little bit of a stigma of getting to the semifinals and losing to a team from Mexico in Mexico. And that happened 3 years. And then we had Monterrey here in 2019 and lost on a golden goal in overtime and saw Landon's season come to an end, at the toe of Miguel Vaca. Obviously, that stung bitterly. The last 2 full seasons, the Sockers won the championship. The last 2 full seasons, whenever San Diego needed the goal at the end of the game, whether it was twice in overtime against Tacoma in the 2021 playoffs, whether it was twice against Florida in the 2021 semifinals, whether it was in the last minute of the knockout game in the 2021 final against Ontario, whether it was against Chihuahua in the semifinals and the knockout game last year, whether it was Child's big goal in Game 2 of the finals. The Sockers always found that critical goal, that last goal, that golden goal. And you get used to it, right? You get used to thinking the Sockers are the one team, that it doesn't go the other way, that the pendulum the pendulum only swings once and it never comes back, and the pendulum swung back on what I thought was just a great match overall, Jerry, a great set of matches. And there's plenty we can talk about, break down. We can discuss how Chihuahua won it. I think Chihuahua had a game plan that they enacted both tactically and psychologically that worked. Nonetheless, I think the very first thing is just to kind of note, this is sports. This was an incredibly difficult task that the Sockers assigned themselves after losing match 1. And they came damn close, and in many ways should have pulled it off. They had 4 or 5 chances in regulation of the knockout game to win that game. When it doesn't happen, I think you have to credit Chihuahua for winning a great match on a great goal.
Yeah, and I hate just in life in general thinking about the could haves, should haves, would haves, and all of that. I think this episode is to do that, but moving forward, I don't want to even look at it that way. But for now, I think we can talk about it. I think it's fair to talk about that. Yeah, I think there was a lot of missed opportunities, right? Having Leo hurt, having him missing the first game. I see Marlisha commented that as well. I absolutely agree with her, and I'm sure a lot of us think that too. He could have made a difference. And yeah, just missed opportunities and not capitalizing also on power plays. But that was an issue that we've had the entire season, I think, where we wouldn't capitalize within the 2 minutes, but for whatever reason, literally seconds later, a goal would go in, and then we would actually be on top or whatever it was. I think you guys might have mentioned it even in your broadcast. I think Nate might have brought it up that it seems like we wouldn't score during the power play, but we would score quickly after. But yeah, a lot of little things like that I think would lead up to where we were, right? And where we ended up not being able to capitalize, and Chihuahua is really executing their plan, and getting it done.
Let's roll the highlights, courtesy of our man, Eddie Trujillo. He put both matches into one set of clips, which is fine. For me, honestly, match 2 winds up being something that's kind of in the afterburners. We're going to forget a lot about match 2 we're going to remember a lot about match 1 and about the knockout game. But San Diego played with purpose, with passion in match 2. And while in retrospect and with coach's comments afterwards, you know that the Savage always at least had a thought of a game plan that involved conceding this match. That wasn't the case in the first quarter. They wanted to come out and see if they could win it and if they could take this thing in 2 matches. And I really thought the first quarter of this match was about as good as we've seen the Sockers play all year.
Absolutely, and it starts with a beautiful goal from Mitchell Cardenas, and it's a team effort. And I think the first few goals, that first quarter, was just a complete team effort, right? Where these guys really were just selfless and were passing the ball around like we know they can do. And it was a beautiful goal again from Mitchell Cardenas. It was set up by Mitchell and eventually finished off by Mitchell. And I think that you could see this whole first quarter was just beautiful, beautiful soccer from the Sockers.
That was 5 consecutive one-touches to set up the Cardenas goal. And he had the first and the third and the fifth of those touches. Just one of the prettier team goals of the year. And it really kept going as this got, of course, the crowd electrified. And how about the crowd? Over 3,400 in the house. Over 4,500 tickets out for this one, Jerry. By far our biggest crowd of the year and the loudest and most passionate for the game that mattered most.
Yeah, it was great to see such a huge crowd there to support the guys. I mean, they absolutely needed it, and, the town came through. And, unfortunate ending for everybody there, but they got to see that first game, and that is the Sockers that we know, right? That beautiful goal from Cardenas, and then on to a great goal from Leo, again, doing his thing.
Yeah, Leo back in the lineup, clearly limited in ways that we will discuss and detail even further as this highlight continues. Couldn't use his right foot to shoot, and here you see he gets the give and go back, and he sets himself up to take the shot left-footed and to score. He did not have the pop. He didn't have the burst that you normally associate with one of the best players in the league, but he found a way in this match, Jerry, to keep himself productive despite playing at well under 100%.
Yeah, it was tough to see at sometimes, right? You could see him limping at certain points during the game, but that was just a great ball over from Tavoy Morgan, and Leo being in a place where he didn't have to put too much effort behind that ball to get it in. I think we'll see another goal later almost goal later where it was actually Tavoy on the end of it, and he didn't put enough power on it. Otherwise, I think that would have been a goal. But and the guys just keep going, right? This first quarter with Golden Gutierrez getting that third one, and now San Diego's looking good, looking strong, 3-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. And again, it's that beautiful soccer playing. You see him there set it up. It goes over to, I think it's Juan and then Felipe, right? And then back to Gutierrez for that goal.
Yeah, Wonder Twin powers activating. If it was hockey, they'd both get the assist on Christian's goal. 3-0. Crowd's going wild. Banga banners are slapping. Everything is happening. Enrique Cañez, for the second time in the quarter, hits the crossbar. And I think it's just about at this point that Chihuahua starts to think about, well, we've got our game plan. We've got our strategy. However, they were gifted a power play to start the second quarter, and Hugo Puentes playing badly hurt. Hugo Puentes comes through with a goal right there. We talk about Leo. Puentes dealing with a bad ankle and was clearly limited in his movements throughout the course of both matches. In fact, he actually looked a lot sharper in the knockout game somehow, some way, than he did in the full match. In the full match, I felt like he was going at maybe 50-60%, but give a kid like that just a chance to finish. I mean, that was a wicked strike he took against Boris right there.
If I would have to take a guess, I would say it had something to do with some Ultra Magic spray there during the break between the two games.
Yeah,
did it.
The Ultra Magic. Yeah, they might have gone to the Ultra Magic at some point before the knockout being maybe for everybody. couple weird scrambly moments for San Diego. And then check this out. This is coming up. Leo in the middle from Tavoy. I think it's one of the telltale moments in the first half. Right here, Leo gets, this is a gimme goal for Leonardo de Oliveira. Goalkeeper out of position in the middle of the free throw line, no defenders, and he hit it wide, but he hit it wide, Jerry, with his right foot. He hit it with his right foot. It was the first time the whole match Leo tried to take anything with the right foot. Not only did he miss, but then he limped afterwards, and he didn't take another right-footed shot attempt until one that we'll see much, much later that could have won the knockout game, kind of the tragic moment at the end of regulation. Meanwhile, Tavoy Morgan, hard working, gets a pass from Rojo, keeps it going. Chihuahua challenges this, looking for a handball. They don't get it. Tavoy trapped it off his chest, and it's 4-1 in the second quarter. Soccer's grooving, up by 3, and take this lead into halftime. Feels like at this point you're really thinking, okay, this thing's going to go the distance. It's going to go to the third game.
Yeah, I mean, they were looking strong. They were looking great. Yeah, and I honestly thought that was a handball, too, at first look. But then you see the replay, and it's clearly not. But just Tavoy, man, with those quick turns. So I love to see those. When he's given that opportunity, he takes it. And we saw this whole season. I mean, they were covering him where he didn't have this kind of space, right? And there he has it and is able to turn and catches Berna and out of place and scores that goal. But yeah, going back to what you were saying about Leo, I mean, I hadn't even realized that, but you can clearly see it in the replay. I know we just passed it, but here's another great opportunity too. And I mean, the ball just ends up in Berna's hands. A lot of chances, we were looking really strong, and the guys just kept going, doing their best. And I mean, Chihuahua's a great team. Nothing to take away from Chihuahua. I think this is right here what I was mentioning, where Tavoy maybe a little bit more power behind that. I don't think Berna gets back on time to stop that, and that would have been another goal.
Sockers get the goal from Pee Wee. Mitchell and Pee Wee teaming up, defender goal to make it 5-1. Again, game's getting away from Chihuahua at this point. We know now, definitely in retrospect, that they turned the afterburners off at some point in this third quarter. And not that they stopped playing, but that they understood what the assignment was. Later, Sockers do get a power play on this collision, and Giovanni Gallegos, who was really good, brand new player for Chihuahua, was really, really good on this night. But he gets his hand up into Juan Gonzalez's face. Sockers get a power play. Sockers fail on the power play. I really wondered, would we be on this show the week after the Sockers got eliminated from the playoffs and just talking and crying about the power play, but it didn't come up in the knockout game. Nonetheless, it was a lingering weakness for this team really throughout the second half of the season. However, the second after a power play, we're golden. Craig Giles scores for 6-1. The magic seconds when the power play is over and everything's falling apart for the other team. Sockers have it 6-1 at this point. And then, Jerry, as the highlight reel goes on, we go into the fourth quarter, and as we get another look at again, a well-crafted goal driven to Childs in the back post, really got through 3 Chihuahua defenders, none of whom dove for the play. But in the fourth quarter, Pardo made a number of very nice saves. Chihuahua's still out there on the field. Sockers kind of pulled the parachute as well in terms of their attack on net, really trying to drive the net and score. And I wonder if you thought that was at least a little bit of a mistake, because in hindsight, San Diego winds up getting shut out for the final 36 minutes and 40 seconds of this match. They go scoreless for 36-40 to wrap up their season.
No, I don't think that was a mistake at all. If that isn't the case, I think both teams now at this point, it becomes really what's the main objective, what's the main goal, and that is winning that second game for both, right? Or in this case, the third game, winning the third game, winning the second game for each team. What I would say is that they're both now, like, this is a balance, right? They need to know how much to pressure, how much to defend. Obviously, San Diego to not let Chihuahua catch up too much, and for Chihuahua to not let San Diego, get too crazy, but also maybe make them work a little bit more and tire them out for that second game. So the mentality of each team changes at this point, because at the end of the game, the second game really doesn't matter as much as the third one is going to matter, right? The Sockers have this one in the back. Chihuahua understands it, and with the players that are hurt for both teams, I think that it was smart to a certain extent. Why would you say it was a mistake?
I'm not necessarily thinking it's a mistake. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a tough situation. You have to play the quarter.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Like I think Phil would have loved to have leaned across the glass to Sanchez and say, can we just scotch the fourth quarter and move straight to the knockout game? Would you guys like to move on? But you don't. You have to play it through. Nonetheless, there's kind of a winding down, and I'm thinking more psychologically than anything.
Sure.
The Savage veterans were completely gassed at the end of the game. You see Enrique Cañas gets a breakaway and is like moving at 1/4 speed. And the match ends, and then the Chihuahua tactics truly come out, Jerry, as the Savage not only change 4 players out of their starting 14 field players, but they change uniforms. They come out in red.
What?
The white is gone. They run out in fresh kits, and it just felt like one team was extending the second match, and the other team was there to play a brand new game. And man, while this beautiful steal this is where, in fact, I'd love you to pause it right after this. Christian Gutierrez, this is minute 2 of the knockout game. Charlie Gonzalez, team's got fresh legs. They're using high pressure. Berna makes an error with his feet, which we've seen the Sockers pressure many, many times. And Charlie gets the steal and tips it to Christian Gutierrez. And I said it on the broadcast, Jerry. I said, Gutierrez scored in this spot in the knockout game last year. And as he moved to his right foot, man, I thought for sure he was about to score again for 1-0 in the early minutes of the knockout game to set the tone again. And missing that shot, just missed. First sign that it wasn't our night in the knockout game. We actually had, when I say we, the Sockers, you and I weren't on the floor. The Sockers had a number of chances. There's number 2. Tavoy Morgan has a good look at net, tries the outside of the foot and misses. Tavoy has another chance, tries to step up. Miller blocks his shot. That's a third opportunity for 1-0 in the match. The best chance for Chihuahua comes here. Puentes, again, moving so much better. Given the shot. This is what the Sockers practice. Thought, oh, no, they left him open. No, they gave him the shot. Pardo, great job defending it. Rojo, a little wide on that one. Sockers kept trying to isolate Rojo. Could never really get the isolation play for Rojo going at any point on Friday night. Morgan, another great opportunity. And again, gets defended, gets blocked, but then gets it back. And the angle is off right there, Jerry. Mm-hmm. If he's got his hips turned toward net, that's 1-0. He's got his hips turned to the free throw line, and then this one over the top. Felipe, great save by Berna. That's a 5th chance to score. You've seen 1 for Chihuahua in the knockout game. 1. And then, okay, pardon me, that was the Rojo one. Because first Felipe went over, and then Rojo. And it's a great save by Berna. They checked the review. He's right on the line as he stops that ball. And you know what I thought when I saw Rojo out there, Jerry? He's on the wrong side of the field.
He's on the right. He should be on the
left.
left.
On the right side. Need Rojo on the left side with that right foot.
Yeah.
He put it at net. He put the shot on net. That's the best you can ask. You get to the final seconds of regulation. And this, to me, is the sports tragedy moment. The beautiful, delicious, heartbreaking sports tragedy moment for Leo and the Sockers. Seconds running out. 10 seconds as Serta takes the ball in the mid-wall. Serta looks, and he does the right thing. He plays it off the wall. And pause it. Comes to Leo.
Oh, sorry.
Comes to Leo's right foot. Leo, who could not shoot with his right foot. Leo, who is in pain with his right foot. Leo, who did not take a shot with that foot the rest of the match, he had the one chance. He had the one chance with 4 seconds left, and he put his right foot through that shot, but probably at 88% of the power he normally would, and it was just enough for Berna to save that ball. You're seeing about the only chance the Sockers get in overtime. Felipe over the top, and right here, Poyo, the ball comes down to Poyo. He tried to clip it on the first try, left-footed, as opposed to trying to bring it down and work around Berna. I'm sure in hindsight he would have loved to have gone another way. Jerry, the Sockers don't get another look on net the rest of the season. As we see the fatal play developing, it starts with Rojo taking one in the nether regions. Look how important this is. Popper is Rojo's man. Now Cardenas has to come out. Maybe he wanted to take one more step. But he was worried because he didn't have support behind him. And just a perfect shot. Popper bends it around Cardenas, leaves Boris unsighted to the shot. Not that he was likely to stop it anyway. It was headed into the top diagonal corner. It's a beautiful way to end a classic match of playoff indoor soccer.
You see Melissa there. I hadn't seen that, but Romero goes right up to Melissa, who just kind of looks back like, hey, what is happening? Man, this is why we love the sport. These are the moments. This is part of what makes this sport so beautiful and why it's called a beautiful game. And it reflects life. Not everything goes your way always. You have your struggles, you have your bad luck, you have your good luck. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And in this situation, I think we all knew that going up against Chihuahua, this was, really the final of the league. I mean, these are the top 2 teams in the league. And, if we were going to lose to anybody, it was going to be Chihuahua. And what a beautifully placed ball. You can't hate on that. There was no drama behind that goal. It was beautifully placed from Popper. I think, again, unfortunate that things before that led up to him being open, having enough space to take that shot. But again, that's part of what makes this game so special and so beautiful. And unfortunately, we were on the wrong end of it this time. But man, I mean, you can't hate on that goal. And there was nothing Pardo could have done. There was nothing else other than what we were doing already based on, Rojo being hurt and a couple of other players that were with their guys, were with their marks, were doing their job. It didn't work out our way. And man, it was definitely rough. I say that while still knowing that I absolutely hate it. but hey, and then an interview with Captain right after.
That was heartbreaking. Honestly, that was heartbreaking. Craig had nothing to say, and really, it was, I don't know, it was almost like childlike, just in terms of the purity of we wanted to win and we didn't win. I mean, you can see he's wiping tears from his eyes in the interview, and the devastation of knowing that from day one, this was your championship, and it was. And one of either Chihuahua or Baltimore is going to be the MASL champion for 2023. It's not going to be the Sockers. The Sockers won the Shield. The Shield's a real thing, I mean, I've always been a proponent of the Shield. And the Sockers won the Shield. They had the best regular season. They had a dominant regular season. America believes in playoffs. Playoffs are crapshoots. Playoffs add randomness to the sport. Team sports, arena sports, historically evolve to longer series to eliminate the randomness. And of course, do I think if it was a full 3-game series with 2 home matches that the Sockers would have prevailed? Of course I do. Of course I do. I think it takes asking San Diego to play 2 games at home and to have the second game be 25% the length of the first game, and to set up a scenario by which San Diego can lose. But these are the rules that everybody signed up for. And, Milwaukee had the same opportunity at home and lost, and Utica had the same opportunity at home and lost in the mini game. It's very much a possibility when you narrow things down this much. And while it's not tactically ideal, it's where the league is right now. And clearly with the Baltimore situation that we saw this offseason, the idea of we should have a best of 3 and then a best of 5 for the final, it sounds great. Can we get the arenas to make that happen? Right now, I think this is the best the league can do.
Yeah, I mean, we can't complain about that. Everybody knew what they signed up for. Everybody knew beforehand what this was going to look like. Whether we liked it or not, we kept it going with hopes that, we would get that advantage. And to a certain extent, there was that advantage, right? But now we look at it, and obviously being on this end, we start trying to figure out, what happened. And I think that plays into the mentality of, they came in with a plan. They took advantage of it. They beat us at home, so now they have the advantage, right? And so, yeah, I think in talking to these guys throughout the season, having them on the podcast, talking to them behind the scenes as well, the mentality was never about anything other than we want to win the championship. And so for me, now in the place that we're at and having some time to kind of reflect, I think that it's important that we talk about the wins and the fact that they are the Shield winners and that they absolutely deserved it. And the whole season as a whole, came to an end, unfortunately, and all the players will tell you that what they wanted was the cup. But, man, did they do a fantastic job the entire season, and I don't want to downplay any of that because, we saw some fantastic goals. We saw some beautiful soccer played this season. They won the Shield, which does matter, and we're able to show the hometown fans, what they're about, and, again, it goes just back to – in that moment, it wasn't our day. It wasn't our game. And I know that these guys will move past it. It might take a little time for all of us to get past it. But, I'm excited to talk to Guerrero Pino and see kind of the mentality coming out of the season now. And because it feels abrupt because, like you said, we're spoiled. We are so spoiled. Yeah. We're not used to being in this type of situation. So now how do we cope? How do we talk through this and get out of it? Well, we start looking forward and actually looking back at all the good stuff and then looking forward to what changes are coming and what this next season is going to be like. And can they do a repeat of that, of that caliber of 22-0-2, right? To end the season and the regular season and then go and get the Shield one more time and then take another stab at another championship. We continue on, and that's the beauty of this game.
I know we have Guerrero standing by. Do we have the Phil Salvagio
yes.
interview as well? Let's play that first just to kind of keep things in chronological order. Just about 45 minutes after the match was over, the knockout game was over on Friday night. I had the chance to chat with Phil right outside his office at Pechanga Arena, a very philosophical Phil Salvagio.
Boss, I've been trying to tell people how hard it is to win 2 games in one night. It's hard against a great team. And I thought that was an incredible advert for the league. A great mini game. So much competition. You could have won it on the last shot, and instead you lose it on the last shot.
At the end of the day, that's why this game is one of the best games that are out there. So exciting, and everybody's in it, and it's great for the fans. We had a great crowd tonight. Unbelievable all the way around, and that's why you should come watch this game. It's a freaking unbelievable game.
How proud are you of the heart of some of your players? Leonardo was out there tonight. It was so clear he couldn't use his right leg, he couldn't shoot. He shot with his right leg to try and win the game at the end of regulation. He was in so much pain afterwards, he could barely walk. How proud are you of just the effort the guys put out there?
When you have to win 2 games in one night, it's so hard, and you got to put out everything you got in. And at the end of the day, we were exhausted and tired. And it's a very tough game.
Along those lines, Chihuahua had that one card in their pocket they could play as an advantage. They had some young players that they rested and threw in to game 3, and it really did look like they had a little bit of an extra life in their legs.
At the end of the day, anybody could have won the game. just the way the ball bounces. It's luck. You need a little luck on your sides in indoor.
What's your message to Sockers fans who obviously were thinking about a three-peat? You guys had the best record by 5 games in the league. What's the level of disappointment to not be in the final?
Well, it's always disappointing when the Sockers are never in the finals because, that's our franchise, from history and everything. So, we're all sad, we're all disappointed, and it's going to be a long time before we get over it, but we got to look for the future.
Thank you, Coach.
You can hear the Chihuahua folks like packing up right across that wall in the background. So I saw Keith Jolly being like interviewed on an aircraft carrier. That's what all that weird banging was.
Yeah.
We weren't in a submarine. They were packing up the locker room for the Savage on the other side of that wall. But I just thought it was great to hear from the coach. We don't hear from the coach very often. He declines almost all interviews. He declined coming on tonight. He doesn't want to think back. He wants to be a goldfish and think forward. Villita FC is coming up, in about 5-6 weeks. We've still got stuff to talk about as the spring wears on. Nonetheless, wanted to hear from the coach. All right, let's welcome in one of our great veterans to Soccer's Overtime, and we truly thank him for his time after such a rough loss, hanging out in San Diego before heading back to his home city tomorrow. Guerrero Pino is our special guest live on Soccer's Overtime this evening. Guerrero, Craig and Jerry here with you, man. We've just gone through it all. We just broke it all down. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me right?
Yep.
We got you.
And thanks for the invitation, and thanks for doing this for the fans.
Of course, my friend. Let's just start kind of with the simplest of simple things. It's been, a good solid 72 hours plus now. You've had the chance to reflect. What are your thoughts now on what took place on Friday night?
I think it was the ball didn't bounce our way, to be honest. I mean, I think it came down to one goal either in the mini game or the overtime. And unfortunately, the bouncing of the ball was to Chihuahua, and that's what it was. I think we did a great job offensively and defensively throughout the games, and at the end of the day, I mean, we weren't able to score and capitalize the chances that we had at the end, but it was just a bounce. We always say that indoor soccer is about the ball bouncing your way, and I think that's what happened that night.
Yeah, absolutely. And we heard actually, Coach Phil Salvagio say that the ball didn't bounce our way. And it's a perfect way to look at it. I think that you guys did everything that, you had to do. But, in talking about Friday night, and I think you heard Coach Salvagio talking about it a little bit too. I'm wondering, Pino, in your kind of point of view, what's the difficulty like, right? Trying to win 2 games in one night. And what's the mentality having to come out after winning that game? What do you guys do, and what's the difficulty of having to do that and change and start over?
Knowing that we gotta go one game at a time, and we gotta take care of business of the second game, and then think about the mini game. Once we took care of the second game, then we started to think a little bit of like, okay, there's another 15 minutes that we gotta take care of, and we went to the locker room. I mean, with a positive thinking, and we were like, hey, we got this. If we keep doing what we've been doing for the last 60 minutes, I mean, we'll be okay. And that's what we did. I mean, unfortunately, the game went to overtime, and that plays a little bit more of a role when you're the team looking for the result, especially in the second game. And I mean, they were the ones that finished that chance, and the ones that put the ball in. And credits to them. I mean, I think they did a great job throughout the game as well. And I mean, at Chihuahua, the whole league was expecting this game to be a championship game, kind of like what happened last year. And again, once again, because of the format of the league and all of that, I mean, we're in the semis, and the game went to a sudden death, just like last year. But the difference was that last year we capitalized our chances. This year we didn't, and they did. So that's why we're sitting down here thinking about what could it go different instead of like, oh, what's the plan for the championship game?
Guerrero, one thing that stood out to me, and as you know, right, I do a lot of analysis. I look at a lot of film. I dig through the numbers, etc. Prior to Friday, I had gone back and watched last year's match 2 and the knockout game. And one thing that really stood out to me between 2022 and 2023 is the depth that the Chihuahua Savage added to their roster from one season to the next. Because over the course of this season, they really added to kind of the back half of that roster. And last year, going from game 2 to game 3, they rolled the same lineup out there from match to match. Between game 2 and game 3 this year, they changed 4 field players and brought in guys who hadn't been playing in the playoffs previously. They changed uniforms. I thought that was a cool psychological thing to do as well going into the knockout game, but it just seemed like they had that extra depth. You guys, we've always been the deepest team in the league, but Chihuahua adding that extra little bit of depth when it comes down to knockout, golden goal, overtime, I thought that was a factor.
We can say that it helped a little bit, but I think, just reflecting or thinking back about the game last year, I think they did the same thing. Maybe they didn't change 4 players, but they changed a couple of them. And I will say it's just about the decision. I think they thought they needed to make those changes, and our coaching staff. After looking at the first game and all of that, they were like, I think we're good in good hands, But again, it came down to a goal, if we put it that way. Yes, the depth help. Yes, of course, he does help a lot because you get fresh legs for a game like that, especially those young kids that came out and they wanted to show up, So they did show up, and they I think they played a huge role on those what was like 23 minutes between the mini game and the overtime. So yeah, it helped. If you see the result and they won, yeah, you will say, yeah, it was the right thing to do from their side. If it were to go the other way, it wouldn't make any difference. It was just those fresh legs help a little bit.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it was 2 very strong teams that came to play, came to try to get the same exact result. It went one team's way, it didn't go our way. But we have to also talk about how amazing our team has been throughout the playoffs, the regular season and the playoffs, and specifically our defense, right? We sing your praises every single week. How proud are you of this defense and your performance throughout the playoffs?
I think, it has been our signature, It's not only the defense. I think our midfielders, our forwards, they understand the role that we're asking them to do when it comes to defend, and they help out. It's not only the 2 defenders plus the goalkeeper. It's the guys in front of us that helps as well when we have the ball. And in playoffs, I think if I count the mini game, it was 5 games in playoffs, and we allow, was it 5 goals, Gray, I believe. So 2 and 3 between. Well, no, if you count the game in Chihuahua, it's more than that. But
10 total. 10 total goals.
10 total.
Over,
10 total
yeah,
for
over
5
4
games,
and a half games.
For 5 playoff games. That's a lot, But at the end of the day, nothing matters, to be honest. It doesn't matter if we allow 1 goal in 20 games or if we score 50 goals. We're sitting down here now wishing that it went the other way. It didn't. So, credit to our defenders, credit to our team in general for doing such a great job during the regular season. But to be honest, to a franchise like the San Diego Soccer, it doesn't matter.
Guerrero, I'm curious because everyone's different when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? You've been part of this club for 5 seasons. 1 season got wiped out at the end due to COVID. Twice we've won the championship, and twice we've lost in golden goal in the semifinal at home in overtime. And there are some folks who spend a whole summer kind of going back and digging through the ashes right? Trying to find the little piece of rubble and go, what if we switch this one thing to that thing, is that the difference? Do we win the title? There's some folks who go, okay, good season, it's done, move on, and just leave it in the background and never go back and think about it. Which bucket would you put yourself in?
Next season, I'm already thinking of like we gotta prepare. I have to do my stuff and get ready to get back into that championship game first, and then after that, thinking about winning. I think with the roster and the personnel that we have on this team, I mean, this is a championship team. This is a franchise that is looking for a championship every season, and we're lucky to have that. We're fortunate to know that next year the Sockers are the number one or number two, however you want to put it, contenders for the championship. And you already have that mentality. I'm telling you that from my perspective and from what I see on the guys is that everyone is hurt. Everyone is wishing that it went different, but at the same time, everyone is like, okay. I mean, we made this few mistakes, so we could have done this different. So next year is going to be different, and next year we got to do it again.
I love it. By the way, here in the chat, we have somebody saying, but first, Villita FC. So you got to worry about that. That's the next. That's the next step going into it. We have some awesome fans that are going to be over there. By the way, supporting you guys during that tournament.
To be honest, I mean, I obviously I didn't want to mention that or something like that because I think it's been around for 5 weeks since everyone started talking about the tournament and all of that. And yes, it is on the back of my head that we had a big tournament in the next 5 weeks. But I mean, that's the next thing. Yeah, you have to play that tournament. But I mean, based on the Sockers and what we're talking about, that's why I focus on what's next season is going to be. For me personally, I mean, yeah, I go home and take care of business there, and then go with Villita FC and try to win that $1 million. Huh? Who doesn't want to win $1 million?
I want you to win $1 million.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
Like personally, I'd like to see this happen. I'm hoping to be in North Carolina with you guys for that run, and I'm hoping that we're able to create some Villita overtime or something.
That would be nice.
Something along those ways. Yeah, to share it with all of our great San Diego fans because it's such a San Diego team. Best crowd of the year. At the semifinal, Guerrero, over 3,400 fans in the seats, over 4,500 tickets out. This rivalry, obviously, and the playoffs ramps things up to a different level. But how great was it for you guys, knowing how hard we worked to fill those seats, to see it's so packed for the playoffs?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you guys, the front office, did an amazing job on getting the fans to the arena. I know it's really hard to sell tickets within a week, because that's pretty much what you guys did. But the atmosphere was electric, to be honest. I mean, it was loud. It was hard for us to hear each other. The support that we felt that night was unbelievable. And I'm pretty sure it played a huge role on against Chihuahua on the second game. I mean, when they saw that, I mean, a lot of guys were like, oh, shoot. But I mean, hands down, and for you guys in the front office, for the fans, I mean, they have always been great. I mean, we know how hard it is to sell tickets everywhere, but especially here in San Diego. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, and what we experienced that night was amazing. To be honest, was amazing, and I mean, nothing but thank you to the fans, to you guys in the front office, and through everyone that supported us,
Yeah, we want to get everybody out. I see it in the chat. A lot of the fans that are here every single game saying we want that for every single game and going into this next season. I mean, all of you that are here listening right now and are hearing Guerrero Pino talk about this. I mean, this is what every player tells us, right? They need you guys in the back. They feel you when you're there. And so please tell friends for the next season, get them ready, start showing them highlights of this season and how amazing this team is, because we want to do this every single game. So Craig, you want to take the last question, because it's a great question.
Yeah, just last thing before we let you go, Guerrero, and we appreciate you, man. You've been so gracious to us throughout the season as well. But the championship is set. It'll be played Thursday and Friday. It's Baltimore at Chihuahua. It's the mini field championship, as we joked last year when they played in the playoffs. But this year they will play for all the marbles. What are your thoughts?
It's going to be a tough game, because both teams are used to play on a field like that. So I don't think there's not going to be field advantage besides the fact that Chihuahua was hosting it. But they're used to play to a small field. Now, I mean, if you ask me at this point, I want Baltimore to win it because of what happened with Chihuahua. But if you ask me whenever they're playing, I want Chihuahua to win it just because it's a Mexican team. I'm from Mexico, and on top of that, I'm from Chihuahua as well. So it's kind of like, I mean, and there are a lot of friends there. I mean, the players and fans that are used to. I mean, they're still my friends, and they go to games, and for them to experience a championship title, I mean, it's great. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, but I think I'm leaning more towards Chihuahua. But I don't know. Baltimore is Baltimore. You know how Baltimore is. I mean, they went to Milwaukee and see what they did on a bigger field. Everyone says that, oh, Baltimore doesn't know how to play on a bigger field. Well, they just took it to 2-0, So I don't know. It's gonna be a great matchup. I hope it is a great matchup. I mean, I hope either one that wins it, they make it a great matchup. I hope. I mean, the level is great. The atmosphere is great, which I know is gonna be. And then everyone match the intensity. I mean, the referees, the players, the coaches, everyone. At the end of the day, we're here for the fans, and I want it to be a good experience for everyone.
Right on, brother. Well, listen, I do look forward. It's so long. It's not farewell. We'll see you again shortly. Again, Villita coming up. That is something exciting. It's hopefully something that the Soccer's players who are on that club can use as a little bit of a salvage at the end of the year. I mean, a lot of a salvage if you get that big cash. Let's be honest, that's a lot of a salvage.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, go ahead.
It is going to be a good, advertising for the league because there's a lot of players from our league that were going to be playing there. And then seeing and thinking of like, oh, does the guys play? It's going to be a good advertising for the league. So believe it or not, it's a different scenario and a different format, but it could help the league.
Yeah, I think it will too. I know you'll be a big part of that. I saw you captain a team to a mini football championship down in Australia a few years ago, and I hope you can do it again in North Carolina. But thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate your passion on the field, off the field, everything you bring to this organization every day that you're with us. You are a great player, man, and a great dude as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing this as usual. So. Hey, enjoy the rest of the show, and thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Guerrero.
Thanks,
appreciate you, mate. Guerrero Pino. Love that guy, dude. He is passion. He's the really backbone. Him and Cardenas, smarts, veteran know-how, intensity. I thought Guerrero stepped his game up, man. The last few games in the playoffs, he was playing at that nobody scores on you level that he has, and just a dynamite performance defensively this year. Stunning outcome, but I think you heard it, and I think the chat's reflecting it too. These guys come together after this. They don't splinter apart. We're not like some of the franchises that lose and fall apart and everyone leaves and scatters to the four corners. These guys stick together.
Yeah. No, and I mean, they've all been through this. They've all faced, they all had their own path and stories to get to where they are. There's a reason why they are in this organization. This organization is about winning, and this is a position that these guys are not used to and are not comfortable in. And so they're going to do everything they can to get out of it, going into the next season. And like you said, be a goldfish and move on. But yeah, super, super great to hear from Guerrero Pino. And again, if he listens later on, thanks for his time. Cause yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to have to, get in front of a camera and talk, especially to fans that are sad. And it feels good to be able to have a conversation, with somebody that's such a big part of this season, which was, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a fantastic season. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but don't forget, about how great it actually really was. So
Yeah. And it was a proper semifinal.
It
It was
was.
truly a
It
proper
was.
semifinal. Both arenas were packed. The home team won each full field game, and the knockout game went to overtime. The knockout game almost stretched to 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
it was a great series. By comparison, as we transition to MASL news, it was not a great series in the East. It was a great series for Baltimore. But for Milwaukee, who had the chance to host both match 1, match 2, and a match 3 if necessary, to never even get to a knockout game, absolutely disappointing for the Milwaukee Wave. I don't want to say stunning, because Milwaukee's lost to Baltimore plenty of times over history, just like Baltimore's lost to Milwaukee plenty of times over history. But so sorry, Kelsey.
No, we're
in the
not
chat
skipping.
saying we could skip this part. We could just
have time.
fast forward.
We have
fast
time.
forward.
We have to fill up. Sorry.
Yeah, but
She probably hates us right now.
I
I'm gonna
mean,
turn the volume down.
I just will say, I mean, really, I look at match 1 and that's the one that we were all watching on our phones, on our pads, at the arena. I remember watching that, getting ready to shoot our stand-up at the arena. And Ian Bennett scores with 1:09 left in match 1 to take a 4-3 lead. And he scores and he celebrates, and I literally turned off the feed on my phone and went, okay, let's shoot the stand-up. Milwaukee wins game 1. And then I went and ate dinner and looked at it and saw a 5-4 blast in overtime and had to go back and look and see that Max Ferdinand scored on the first play with 6 attackers. It's 109. Baltimore goes to 6 attackers. They get the ball at midfield. They pass it back over here, into the middle. No one's guarding Max. He turns and he scores. And I couldn't even believe it, other than Milwaukee's defense just hasn't been the backbone of their franchise the last couple of years. And it was just, heartbreaking. And then obviously they lose in overtime. Jamie Thomas scores in overtime. Baltimore wins the game. Kind of doing the Vanzella thing and 5 behind the ball and great saves in match 2 and shutting down the Wave and maybe dispiriting the Wave. Overall, it was definitely not the result I think the league wanted. But I got to give credit, Jerry, to the Baltimore Blast. This is a franchise kind of like the Sockers in 2021 right now that doesn't have a home in the playoffs and just found a way to beat their rivals on their field twice, full games in the playoffs. And now they're going down to Chihuahua, same scenario, but it's a baby field. They're used to it. And if anybody could do it, it's Vanzella, Donatelli, Roque, and the Baltimore Blast.
It's crazy to me. And I think, we'll get into our thoughts about this championship game, but I think that this is not at all the final that anybody was expecting. I don't know if anybody guessed that it was going to be Baltimore Chihuahua at the end. It was either going to be Chihuahua Wave, or it was going to be Soccer's Wave or Soccer's Blast. Nobody thought Baltimore Chihuahua. And so, yeah, I mean, it was really surprising to see, Milwaukee just not getting it done at all. Blast just holding on and doing their thing, being patient. Like you said, I mean, Vanzella is going for his picture with his 6 fingers up now, It's interesting stuff. But, I mean, I don't know how that happened. And, again, only in this league can stuff like this happen, and it's completely, it's surprising, but also not really.
Yeah. It's pretty surprising.
You think so?
That for
All right. I'm surprised.
4 months, Baltimore looked like one of the 3 worst teams in the league every time they left that basketball court at CQ Arena. They were 1-8 on the road going into the last couple weeks of the season. And they won a couple road games at the end of the year. So, credit to them. But the playoffs start and a veteran team finds a different level. And I think going down to Florida and winning that first road game set the tone for the Blast. But I don't want to even break down things beyond what I think is the psychological situation, which is I think there's kind of a major league type. If you remember the movie Major League, I think there's kind of a major league clubhouse type situation happening in Baltimore. A Blast franchise that was let down by their front office, a Blast franchise that doesn't have a home field to play when they're in the playoffs. And, again, we're not going to get into things that didn't happen, but there were a lot of things that didn't happen last week that were threatened to happen, and really had the league over a barrel for a day or two, like the league over a barrel for a day or two. And to see and to hear some of the things I've heard off the record from inside that locker room, and then to see this team come together the way that they have, from their home knockout game to these 2 games in Milwaukee, it makes me feel like they're a group that adversity has banded them together to some point. And by the way, K. Weber makes a really good point in the chat as well, that Baltimore did a lot of Clippers-esque road load management in the regular season, and they didn't send William to most road games. They didn't send some veterans to road games, so they kind of picked their poison in that way. But, I mean, the Blast finished 13-11. 13-11. Yeah. That's mediocrity. That's barely a decent team. And then they've come together in the short tournament in the playoffs. So, just very, very interesting. Very interesting. Who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Chihuahua. I think Chihuahua's going to win. I think the Savage have the home floor advantage. I think they've got by far the depth of talent over the Blast. But the Blast have Donatelli and Roque, and our boy 78, Santana, William, Neto, Mello, guys who have done it, guys who have won it, and guys who have won championships in Mexico, whether it was in Sonora, right, in Monterrey. These guys have done it in the past. So I don't discount the Blast. I see some people going like blowout games, both games 1 and 2. Could happen. It's not impossible. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be tough. I like Chihuahua. I think they're the next best team in the league. They're the only team I was okay with us bowing to. But it's going to be a good series, I think.
It's going to be a great series. And I see it going one of 2 ways, Craig. I think it's either going to be one very tight, just like you said, and Blast is going to really bring it, and it's going to be a very close scoreline. But realistically, in my head, I think Chihuahua is going to absolutely destroy Blast. I think those are the two scenarios. It's one, the one that you just said. I don't think Blast is going to take it. I have Chihuahua winning this, but I think, yes, you can call it the mini field matchup championship, and Blast, that size is not going to matter, but you know what is going to matter is Chihuahua's crowd. Chihuahua's energy, the passion of their fans being there is going to absolutely play a part in this game for 2 games. And so, I think Chihuahua does have home field advantage. And I think that also Savage know how to play at home much better than the Blast can play away from their home. So it's going to be really interesting to see. It's going to be a really, like I said, either a tight match or it's going to be a complete blowout and Chihuahua's going to take it easily. I just don't see it going Baltimore's way. And sorry to Gio and her friends over at Golden Boards, but I mean, I just don't see it. I don't even know how they were able to get past Milwaukee. I do not see them doing it again, and not against Chihuahua.
And I was just trying to look it up on the fly, but these 2 teams played last year in the playoffs. I know for sure it went 3, and I know obviously Chihuahua won because it was the first round matchup, but I can't remember whether the Savage won in Baltimore lost at home and won the mini game, or whether they lost in Baltimore, came home, won, and won in the mini game. Obviously, it was one or the other. But just don't count the blast out. I like Callan's call of Chihuahua in 3. I think it's very much possible. This is what I'm going to say. I think the match 1 winner wins the series.
Ooh, okay.
I think the last 2 years have really drilled into me that this format truly favors the match 1 winner.
Yeah.
And as such, you do say the format match favors the underdog, because usually the underdog has match 1 at home. And just what we just saw with Chihuahua and what we saw with Baltimore in the opening round, where they went to Florida, they won, they lost the second game 14-1. And were able to marshal their forces and win the knockout game to advance. I think it's all about match 1. And I think Chihuahua's going to win match 1. I think they're going to take it, and I think they're going to take the series. But if there's a team that can handle the field, handle the pressure, and has the goalkeeper in the back that can take care of it, other than us, it's Baltimore. I would definitely take Chihuahua over Milwaukee. I'd take them in 2. I'd take us over Milwaukee in 2. I'd take us over Baltimore in 2. But I like Chihuahua over Baltimore. Now, an announcement. Breaking news.
That's my breaking news song.
Yes.
Dang, we should have got
The MASL has asked us to handle an English language broadcast for the Ron Newman Cup Finals. And we have stepped up to answer the call. So I'm happy to announce, for the first time, trumping the MASL here on Soccer's Overtime. Sorry, JP. Sorry, Lindsay. Sorry, Ken. Not too terribly sorry. That Nate Alberea and myself will be calling English language coverage of both matches of the Ron Newman Cup Finals. We will give you championship coverage in English language on both Twitch and Sirius XM FC Channel 157. We will be doing a simulcast from here in San Diego of Baltimore and Chihuahua. I will be doing it from the Calafino Lounge Thursday and Friday night. The league is telling us that they're going to be piping us in a clean feed that includes the sound from Corner Sport Arena, which should be super, super exciting. Nate and I are thrilled and humbled to be selected by the league to be neutral announcers for this and to carry the English language coverage. Our guy Tony Sanchez will be there engineering for us as well at Calafino. And yeah, it'll be some late nights, Thursday night, Friday night, up at the Sublimit Lounge. But, I can't deny that there was a great deal of regret to not be calling the grand final and not be calling the last moment of the MASL season. And, of course, we don't have that home match, and we don't have that Fox 5 broadcast that we would have had on Friday, and that's a drag. But to be able to be on Sirius, to be able to be on Twitch, and to be able to provide English language coverage, and to have Nate alongside as well. I'm super excited for all of this. Thankful to JP Delacamera, Ken Stanley, and everyone at the league. But yeah, Thursday, Friday, hey, look, I think Carlos and Jimmy are as good as anybody in this league. I think they're terrific. So anybody who tunes into Spanish language, I'm not going to blame you at all. But if you're looking for English language, if you're looking for your boy, if you're looking for the top broadcast team in the league, and I do think we are the top broadcast team in the league, and the broadcast team that tries to treat every match like it's a network match, we're going to bring that to Thursday and Friday. And, that neutrality, go Savage, and that neutrality and that balanced Jim Nance style, go Chihuahua, coverage, and we'll bring that to you. I'll be doing some prep tomorrow. I'll be getting locked in, sharing it with the Naders, and we'll be doing that on Thursday and Friday.
You're such a goofball. No, I'm excited for that. It's gonna be awesome.
How dare you call me a goofball?
You're so humble. No,
How dare you?
I'm really excited for it. I might sneak in. I might sneak in one of the days.
I mean, look, you're welcome, brother. You're welcome.
I'm gonna-
one day, both days, every day. You
I'm
know
gonna
what's
come in
up.
and bring my board along with Tony's, and we'll just be doing like sound effects. So
Boop,
and
boop,
so
boop,
yeah,
blast.
no preference. Yeah, no preference, but every time the Blast score, it's like, and every time Chihuahua scores, it's like, but no preference is shown in this broadcast whatsoever.
I mean, pretty much that is what happens every time Chihuahua scores at home. I mean, the big trucker jets shoot off and the
It's
lights
true.
go off, and it's
true.
It's pretty fun. It's actually pretty fun. So that is coming up. That is on Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Friday night, 7 o'clock. If there's a triple game, a knockout game, we've got it for you. We'll be up there. Thanks, as always, to Jacob Grooney and Adrian and the folks at the Calafino Sublimate Lounge for being incredible and basically, giving us the key and saying, lock up when you're done, boys. Don't make too much of a mess. Right. So that'll be happening Thursday night, Friday night, and I'm definitely humbled and privileged to be able to call another championship for the Major Arena Soccer League, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to, and actually a little bit nervous isn't the right word, but like Chihuahua's a different thing. And it really is, and I've said it so many times, it's like calling a soccer match that's being played inside a pinball machine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, bing, ba-bing, bing, 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 bing. Well, the ball's over here. Now it's over there. Now it's over here. Now it's over there. Now it's over down there, and then they score. And it's okay on TV because everyone can see what's happening. But knowing that we're going to have to do a radio call to simulcast it for Sirius XMFC means I have to add, and this is play-by-play minutia or details, but I have to add locators to my call now. So instead of saying Escalante, I have to say Escalante right midfield or Escalante on the right wall, the left corner. And the left corner is right next to the opposing right corner. I mean, they're right next to each other. Like, Berna can reach out and shake Vinzella's hand from his crease. So it's going to be wild. It's gonna be it's gonna be fun. It's kind of like calling hockey on the radio, but it's even faster. It's like calling 3-on-3 hockey if they only use 2 pieces of the ice. So it's gonna be a fun time, and we're definitely gonna enjoy it. As we transition to soccer's news, I just a couple of things. First off, soccer's overtime. We always have kind of a set way of doing things, which is that once our team wins the championship or is eliminated, we do 2 more shows. We do the show where we react to the final result, and we do the show where we kind of react to the end of the year and do our superlatives and our podcast awards and our goal of the year and our save of the year and all that stuff. So we're going to do that again. So that means that next Tuesday at this time is the season finale of this season of Soccer's Overtime. We will reach the season finale of Soccer's Overtime next Tuesday. Season 5, episode 25 will be the final episode of this season. Jerry and I will be back. We'll probably have a guest. It's kind of like maybe, maybe not, because it's sort of our wrap-up show. We'll wrap up the finals. We'll wrap up the Soccers. We'll look ahead to Villita, etc. But yeah, one more show for Soccer's Overtime this regular season. I see everyone saying, like, we want Villita coverage. So I'll just say stay tuned. Like, stay tuned. Things are happening in the front office. Things are happening. Da-da-da-da-da. But we want that. We want that. Whether it's watch parties. Look, we don't know. Like, the soccer tournament, is it going to be on ESPN? Is it going to be on ESPN Plus? Are we going to be calling games? I have no idea. I have no idea. It's 5 weeks away. I have no idea. So just stay tuned. We're going to try and bring coverage of this because to me, Vita FC is the Sockers. I mean, it's the Sockers plus like 3 or 4 dudes, right? The Sockers if Torres was on the team. So like it's going to be a lot of fun, and we do look forward to giving you coverage of that some way, somehow. We'll figure it out. Bear with us. Just kind of like, Zach Reggett is there too, right? Toy Runner. Like, there's a couple other dudes from other teams. There's a couple dudes from teams that we've never heard of. There's somebody from overseas. It's all good. We'll figure it out. And as we get closer, we'll let you know what we can do and what we will do. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Very last thing is we had a deadline of Sunday, Jerry, for our second break point for season ticket member renewals to be part of our opportunity drawing. Let's reveal the winners. And everybody who renewed in our second round. So congratulations to Barbara Dotson for winning the VIP experience. Joel Drake getting a 2022-23 signed mini banner. David and Andrea McKesson, a $75 shopping spree on the Sockers online store. Eddie Trujillo. What do you know, huh, Eddie?
Look at that.
He's not just a team photographer. He's also a season ticket member, and apparently he's also a prize winner. Okay, Eddie. Okay, I see you. Tim Ferguson getting the Felipe Gonzalez signed jersey, and John Evans the 2022-23 signed mini ball. So congrats to one and all. There is a third round of season ticket member renewal opportunity drawings. I think it's in a couple, 3 weeks. Check with Spencer. Nonetheless, why don't you just get on there? Call 866-799-GOAL and talk to Spencer, talk to Ezra, renew those season tickets, take advantage, get in, hopefully win something for our third round of prizes. And Jerry, with that, we've picked up the pieces, and we say thank you. We do. We say thank you. Thanks to our TVX video crew, did an incredible job all year long. Thanks to you and Parker, doing a great job on social media. We'll get all blubbery and talk about all this stuff next week.
Next week.
Yeah, next week as well. But just thanks to everybody. Thank you for being part of this. I think it's just so awesome that we have this platform on Tuesday nights that we know our fans tune in. We know our haters tune in. We know the opposing rival teams tune in. We know the league tunes in. We know owners of other teams tune in, hoping to catch us on something. And we appreciate everybody for their patronage of this show. It's really grown, and in the last 2 years, it's been something special. Jerry, we could never do it without you, man. You're the backbone of this, and I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man. Kudos to you for putting up with me this entire season, and everybody as well putting up with me. Thank you, guys. We're getting there. We're getting better and better. And next season of Soccer's Overtime is going to be better than this one. And I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we have one more to go, but yeah, excited to still have some content for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us too. Yeah, man, obviously not where we wanted to be, but just a friendly reminder, like, be proud of this team because, man, this whole season was a ride. And I was reflecting a little bit on it today. It's my son's Elias's 4th birthday today. And I'm looking at him going, man, how are you 4 years old? How does time fly? It feels like sometimes we don't take a moment to kind of take a breather, take a breath, and deep breath, and think about everything that has been accomplished and everything that we have already done. And I think this is the time to do it. This is the time to look back and really appreciate what we have and how lucky we are to have a team that wants to be and expects to be in the championships. And for us to be in the mentality of, like, this is not cool. We don't like this, but it's because we're spoiled. And not everybody gets to say that. So, yeah, man, love it. I love all of you, and see you guys next week. We have another one to do. So,
yeah, I'll very briefly. I'm sure most people did not stay to the 3-hour 45-minute mark of that very long broadcast. on Friday night, but I said it at the end of the broadcast, and I'll say it at the end here. I'm so proud to work for an organization that can look at a year where we went 22-2, won the MASL Shield, had the coach of the year, had the goalkeeper of the year, with number 1 seed, and lost a classic playoff golden goal semifinal. And we look at it as a devastating disappointment. You know, literally there are other teams in this league that would hang a banner for winning the Shield, for winning the conference, you know, the division, the regular season, whatever. And our team is championship or bust. And, you know, in the 5 full seasons that I've been back with this organization in the front office, we've won the championship twice. 1 year ended without COVID, with COVID, and the other 2 times were home semifinal golden goal overtime losses. And those hurt more than the 6 championships that I've got and the 6 rings that I've got. I'll think about Landon's year coming up 1 game short, and I'll think about this year coming up 1 game short my entire life. Like literally my entire life. I will think about, we've got 6, we should have 8. You know, like we've got 6, we should have 8. And it's beautiful to be with a franchise that thinks that way. It's beautiful to be with a franchise that it's championship or it's absolutely nothing. And it's just so cool. Like, it's just so cool. It sets our tone. It sets our mission statement every year. We don't settle. We're not going to settle for, yay, we were 3rd place and we got 2nd team and the newcomer of the year or whatever. Like, no. It's championship or it's forget about it. So it makes me proud, and I hope you Sockers fans are proud that you have a franchise that behaves this way, essentially, that behaves as a behemoth, that behaves as if, like, we need to win every single championship in the league, whatever league we're in, every season that we're in it, and anything else is unacceptable. And very few people get to work for the Yankees in their prime, or the Canadians in their prime, or the Celtics in their prime, or the Lakers in their prime. And the Sockers are a team that can be mentioned in the breath with those franchises, Jerry. So it's just something like, it's the thing I hold on to all the time.
Yeah. No, same here. I echo that.
For Jerry Jimenez, for Guerrero Pino, and for all you great Sockers fans, I'm Craig Elston. Thanks for tuning in. Please join us Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Nate Abaray and myself. Friday night, Nate Abaray and myself will be on Twitch. I'm not sure if we're on MASL Soccer 1 or 2, but either way, we will be right there with you. If you happen to have Sirius XM Radio, you can join us on the radio, Sirius XM FC, channel 157, Thursday and Friday night at 7 o'clock. And then next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, it's Jerry and I right back here to wrap up the entire MASL season, put a bow on it, and put it in the oven, and get ready for the spring and summer to come. Until then, I'm Craig Elston saying thanks so much for listening. We appreciate you. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the finals, and go Sockers.